Okay, check your work on this. So for this one here, I'll put the template up here. So this is going to be, your inner is going to be 3x cubed. And then that derivative is 9x squared. And then your outer is going to equal cosine of something. So then the derivative of that is negative sine of, and then I'll put in the g. So that'll be 3x to the third. Okay, so then my first derivative, I'll write it here, is y prime is going to be this times this. So that is negative 9x squared times the sine of 3x to the third. Okay, how many of you got that?
I got it.
Okay, good job.
Who got the answer?
All right, now they're asking about the second derivative. So what used to be just a single chain rule is now a product with another chain. Okay, product and then another chain. Okay, so then I'll set up my product rule template. So this part here, I'll call it as my f. So that's going to be negative 9x squared. And then the derivative of that is 18 or negative 18x. That's a negative there. And then on the g here, I have to do another chain rule. So then that'll be sine of 3x to the third. And then my g prime is going to equal, so I'll do another template off to the side here. So for this one, the template will be, I have my, it's going to look very similar to this one here. Right? So my g is going to equal 3x to the third. And then g prime is going to be 9x squared. And then my f is going to equal sine of something. And my g is going to, or not g, f. F prime is going to equal cosine of, and then it's going to be 3x to the third. Okay, so then my answer on this one should be this times this. So that'll give me 9x squared times the cosine of 3x to the third. Okay, so is that good? So this template is just to get this answer. And now I need to do my fig plus figgy, f prime g plus f g prime. All right, and I think I could just write out my final answer. All right, so I'll just do it right here below. So I get y double prime, and that's going to be this times this. So that's negative 18x sine of 3x cubed. And then, what do I have here? Plus, so it's a minus, minus 81 x to the fourth times cosine of 3x to the third. Okay, now I guess I could take out a 9x, and so you could factor that out, but I'll just leave it as it is. So that'll be your answer. Okay, ask any questions. If you have any. How is that? Good? Thumbs up. Yes, go ahead. Well, you use the product rule when what you're trying to take the derivative of is a product. This is not a product, it's just a composition function. So you only use chain rule on the first derivative. But when we did this, you ended up getting a product. So if you have a product, then you have to do the f prime g plus f g prime, and that's what we did right here. Okay. Okay, let's continue. So now we're going to look at an equation for the normal line. So what is equation for a normal line? All right, what does normal mean? What? It's perpendicular. Okay, it's a perpendicular. So you're going to find an equation so similar to our equation of a tangent line. So y minus y1 is equal to m quantity x minus x1. So the only difference now is instead of using the actual slope, you have to do the perpendicular slope. So once you find the answer at pi over 4, then you have to put in the negative reciprocal, and then everything else is going to be the same format as you did before. The normal is perpendicular. Normal, orthogonal, perpendicular, they all mean the same thing. Okay, so let's first of all rewrite this. So you're going to rewrite it as y is equal to 3 times the cotangent of x quantity to the 4th. You're going to rewrite it in a friendly form. Okay, so now this is a chain rule because it's a composition. So I'll put in my inner function is going to be, what's the inner function on that? Cotangent of x, cotangent of x. And then g prime, derivative of cotangent? Negative. That's for cosecant.
Cosecant squared x.
Yeah, cosecant squared x. Good. Okay, negative cosecant squared x. And then for your f, you have to include this 3. So it'll be 3 times something raised to the 4th. Right? 3 times something raised to the 4th. So then f prime is going to be, bring that down, so it'll be 12 something, which would be your g function, so it's cotangent of x, and raise that to the 3rd power. Okay, so now the answer will be this times this. All right, so this is not a product, this is a chain, so then you just multiply g prime and f prime together. So then I get my y prime, I'll put it here, y prime is equal to a negative 12 cosecant squared of x times cotangent cubed of x. Okay, so that's my general. But I need to find a few other things. So this one right here is going to be my x1. So let's find the y1 first. So how do you find y1? So it's going to be y of pi over 4, and you're going to put it into the original one. So that will be 3 times the cotangent of pi over 4, and then you're going to take that to the 4th power. Okay, unit circle values. What's the cotangent of pi over 4? 1. Yep. So then you get that to equal 3. But we don't want, okay, that's exactly what we want for this. So this one would be your y1. So that's going to be that. So we've got our y1 and our x1. Now we need to calculate the derivative at pi over 4. So then I want to find y prime of pi over 4. So then that'll give me a negative 12 times cosecant of pi over 4, and I'm going to raise that to the 2nd power, and then take the cotangent of pi over 4 and raise that to the 3rd power, and then let it give me an answer on that. Okay, so what are these here? What is the cosecant of pi over 4?
Square root of 2.
Yes, square root of 2, exactly. And then you're going to square that. So it'll be negative 12, take the square root of 2, square that, and then we already said cotangent of pi over 4 is 1, so that's just 1 cubed. So then your answer here is going to come out to be a negative 24, but that's not what we want. So this is the tangent slope, but we want what? So we want the perpendicular slope. So what is the negative reciprocal of negative 24? Yep, 1 over 24. Okay, now I'm out of space. I have to write out the final answer. Let me squeeze it in right here. Okay, I'm going to squeeze it in right here. So y minus 3 equals 1 over 24 quantity x minus pi over 4. And that's your answer. Let me give it some color. Here's my answer. I'm going to color it right there. Okay, questions on that? All right, now we're going to look at some chart problems. Given the following table of values, find the indicated derivatives. All right, so we'll do A and B together. So A, it's asking you to find f prime of 1, capital F prime of 1, where f of x is equal to f of g of x. Okay, so we're going to find f prime of x. So here you just want to do the general derivative first. So that would be derivative of the inner, so that's going to be your g prime of x. And then the derivative of the outer f prime with the inner in it, g of x. That's basically the general chain rule. Okay, now I'm going to put in 1 for all of my x's. So what is f prime of 1? It'll be g prime of 1 times f prime of g of 1. Okay, and then you just need to read it off the chart. So what is g prime of 1? I go to x equals 1 right here, and then I go to my g prime, so it'll be 5 right there. So this part here is going to be my 5. And then this one is a composition, so I first need to do g of 1. So what is g of 1? I go to 1 again. This time I go to the g of x, so that'll be a 4. So this will be f prime of 4. And then I go to x is equal to 4 right here. And then I'm going to go to the f prime, so that'll be 8. So then I get 5 times 8. So the answer is 40. Is that one good?
I can do that.
You can do that? Okay. All right, so let's just do one more D, and then I'll have you try the others. So here they want k prime of 1. So I'm first of all going to find k prime of x. So this one, I'll just write it on top, but this is x to the 1/2 power. And so I take that derivative, which will be a 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. And then I have to use a chain rule on this. All right, so what is the derivative of g of x squared? Okay, let's do the inner first. What's the derivative of the inner? I just covered it up. 2x. And then I take the derivative of the outer, so this will be g prime, and then of the inner, so that'll be of x squared. So here's the derivative of the inner, derivative of the outer with the inner in it. Is that part okay? Yeah, I did it without my little chart. Okay, and then I'm going to put in k. So k prime of 1 is equal to, I put in 1s everywhere, so this will just become a 1. So I have a 1/2, and then this will become a 2 times 1, and then it'll be a g prime of 1 squared is just going to be 1. So all I need to do is look on my chart for g prime of 1. What's g prime of 1? 5. Yep, right up there. So then this is going to be equal to a 1/2 plus 2 times 5, which gives me a 1/2 plus 10. So it's either 10.5 or 10.5 or 21 over 2. Any of those answers would be fine. Okay, questions on that? All right, you guys try the others, and I'm going to turn off my recording again. Let's see how long that was. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's look at B, and here's the work for B. So you're taking the derivative of the inner, which is f prime of x, derivative of the outer, which is g prime of f of x. Make sure you have this line, except I'm just going to change one thing on here. This should be, no, it's not wrong, but it's just right here, I'm just going to change it to an, oh, I have no lead. Okay, x. Okay, just make it as an x. So you want to find the general derivative first, and then you plug in 4. Yep, that's good. And so then you read it off the chart, and then you get 40 as the answer. All right, good job on that one. Okay, and then for the next one is this right here. So for the next one, you have inner is f of x, so f prime of x, and then the outer is something raised to the 4th. So it's 4 times something raised to the 3rd, and then you just multiply those two together. I'm just going to put in something here. So write that as h prime of x, and then this is going to equal h prime of 4, and then you read off from your chart. Okay, that looks excellent. Questions? All right, stop the recording.